Since you were appointed, what has been your assessment on the emergency services network?
So it's obviously it's work in progress in terms of the network itself and everything that is developing around it. We need to make progress on that, and we need to ensure that we are able to deliver obviously something that has been eagerly anticipated and long awaited.
Are you happy with progress to date?
Well, it's fair to say it's had a challenging time. In terms of the fact that it's taken a great deal of time to get it to where it is today. Philip will can speak about this in more detail. It's pretty clear as well, obviously, it's had implications in terms of cost, delivery, preparedness, obviously, for our emergency services network.
Sir Philip, how urgently do you treat this issue?
It's of all our major programmes, and we have a large number of them. This is the most important for me as Permanent Secretary because this is the largest in value. It's also a fundamental part of our national infrastructure. So I have been putting, since I came into this role, in fact, 2.5 years ago, a particular personal focus on it. We have, as the Home Secretary has said, made significant progress. It remains a very challenging and complex programme, so I don't want to underestimate the challenges that there are. If I can just add one other thing, which is that the strategic case, which we have discussed before for this programme, remains very strong and, if anything, has continued to grow as we see other countries around the world, such as France, Finland, other territories, deciding to do very much the same thing as us, to develop an emergency services network based on 4G technology. So
it's a matter you treat urgently, yet it took you from July to earlier this month to respond to one question from this committee about it.
I am sorry that took longer than it should have done.
It doesn't then feel to the committee that you're treating it with the urgency you say you are.
I think that reply was at the same time as a reply from the Home Secretary to a range of other matters, so perhaps regard it in that context.
So that's fine, it took so long because the Home Secretary...
No, not at all. It's just that it was a letter which we were sending at the same time.
In the same period, it took you to reply to one question about the Emergency Services Network, which you say is your top priority, it's a key issue. The Prime Minister was able to reopen the withdrawal agreement, get rid of the backstop and renegotiate our withdrawal from the European Union, yet you took the same amount of time to write one letter answering one question to this committee.
And that is an enormous achievement for the Prime Minister.
You?
Enormous achievement for the Prime Minister,
okay.
Mr Ross.
Perhaps one day you can aspire to that type of achievement. Can I ask you
letter,
what...
I hope, addresses the question which you raised in July.
Well, I'll come on to that in a minute. How many people are employed in the programme team to deliver the ESN?
From memory, the latest figure I have is about 150.
And what's been the change since it started?
So we'd had a larger number of people directly working on the programme.
So a larger number is one more, but I'm looking for specifics.
I think
Does this question sound familiar at all?
From memory, it was around 300. We went through a restructuring of the programme.
Why don't we have this figure? Sorry, Sir Philip, we've only got a short amount of time. The committee advised you that you and the Home Secretary and others were going to be questioned on this. Why do you not have this figure? Particularly since I lodged a written parliamentary question about this and was told it couldn't be answered because Parliament was probed. It turned out Parliament wasn't probed. So your department have had plenty of time to answer my question and answer the committee's queries. We told you we were going to raise this, yet you come here again unable to answer what I think is quite a simple question.
I was aware, Mr Ross, that you were going to raise the question of progress on the ESN network, and there's a number of things I can say about progress on the ESN network. I was not aware that you were going to raise precisely how many people are working on the programme at the moment, though I have given,
what might have given you an indication
to give you an answer.
Was think, well, Mr Ross has asked about this before. The committee have told me he's going to question me on this. I'm Permanent Secretary of the Home Office. I might just check, has he lodged any written parliamentary questions on this? And then you'd have found that, the identical question that I'm asking you now. But your department was unable to answer it as a written parliamentary question, and you're unable to answer it while we are scrutinising you here on a key sector for your department. And I think that's unacceptable.
I have given you an answer, Mr Ross.
No, you've not. You said one figure was bigger than the other one, and it might be 300 compared to 100.
I said that, as I recall, the number of people who were working on the programme when I arrived in this role was about 300. We have been through a significant restructuring, and from memory, the figure now is about 150.
So can you give
And we have changed the management as well, leading the programme in ways that we have also discussed before.
So in the written parliamentary question I submitted before the summer recess, can you go back to your department and get that answer and deliver it to this committee in quicker than 74 days? Can you give us that assurance?
In quicker than how many days?
74 days, which is your previous best record.
Mr. Ross, I have answered many questions from the committee in much less than 74 days. Of course, we will attend to your written parliamentary question and we will provide an answer to that as quickly as possible.
Thank you. How much does each year of a delay cost the taxpayer?
So, as we have discussed before, the programme really comprises two elements.
But how much does each year of delay cost the taxpayer?
So the system that is run at the moment, Airwave, is the system that we are seeking to replace.
We only have a short amount of time. I'm asking very
So I will come
questions.
to a figure, Mr. Ross, but it is helpful, I think, for anybody listening to this to understand. So the answer is each day that Airwave each year that Airwave is run costs approximately £365 million, i.e. roughly £1 million a day. So that is a major reason why we're seeking to switch off Airwave, because it is a very costly solution. And the key to switching off Airwave is to deliver ESN.
But do you know the cost of each year of the delay of the ESN? Are you saying it's 365?
So the principal cost, so the cost of the programme has gone up, and the principal reason for that is because it is taking longer to switch off Airwave.
So you've told us 365, but what's the actual answer to my question?
The principal reason is...
Do you know the answer?
The principal reason why the programme is costing more is because it is taking longer to switch off Airwave. The costs of the ESN replacement programme have also increased, but to a much smaller, by a much smaller margin. And the core costs of delivering Airwave, ESN, have been stable since we have reset the programme.
Okay, if you can answer my final question then. Is the target for transitioning from Airwave to ESN realistic?
It continues to be our plan.
Is it realistic?
So it continues to be our plan.
So your plan is 27 months. The emergency services have said 48 months. Who's right? You or the emergency services?
That is one of the issues that we are working through with the emergency services.
So it's not realistic?
No, I'm not saying it's not realistic, because it depends critically on not just the not just on the technological readiness, but the operational programme of transformation within the emergency services.
And that is something we have to work through. Or 48 months more realistic? That's a very specific question.
We said 27 months was the minimum.
Yep.
So the earliest date at which we would switch off Airwave would be the end of 2022.
Yep.
That is a not before date. It is not a target date. It's the not before date. And in our programme, we've allowed 12 months of contingency, which takes you from 27 months to 39 months.
Which is still less than the emergency services.
It is still less than the emergency services are saying, and we are discussing that with them. And there is a range of things that could be done to bring their initial plan for operationalisation back within the time frame we've described.
Has obviously asked this specific question, particularly about the staffing already. I assume there will have been work done in the Home Office in order to answer that parliamentary question. Given that I know you will have other officials here with you today, if one of them, while other members of the committee are asking questions, was able to contact the Home Office and find out whether there is in fact a ready written parliamentary answer to go with that information in, we would be hugely grateful to have that information before the end of the committee, if that is possible.
We'll look into that.